Oh, man. I mean, I've been excited to visit with you guys. We've had a lot happen this weekend. This morning, in fact, we've had a trial in Lubbock, and we're going to have a guest that's been in that courtroom where Brendan Sorsby, the hearing, trying to get an injunction for him to play. That was a pretty big story. Obviously, the Spurs making it to the finals, enormous story. The post June 1, A.J. Brown perhaps heading to the Patriots soon, big story. OBJ, Odell Beckham Jr., back with the Giants, kind of an interesting story. So there were lots of things to go to. Boy, Kev was ready. I mean, that was the show. That was going to be. We had plenty to go on right there. All right, we had enough to maybe go the full three. Could have gone the full three. Although I like the two. Not dying to go back to three. I did three for many, many years. All right, though, we did have breaking news. And Kevin, maybe there was something telling me that something big was going to happen. My old bloodhound skills coming back, because this very morning I reached out to Ian Rappaport and I just said, hey, today or tomorrow, why don't you jump on? Why don't you hop on? Ian's usually, even if he's saying no, he's pretty good about getting back quickly, and didn't hear from him. And then within the hour, it happens. And the news has broken. Play it again, Kevin. I was talking through it. If you're new to the show, that's our breaking news sounder. Welcome our Twitter audience. We encourage all of you to go to YouTube and subscribe. All right. I think that would help us in some way. Although what really helps us is these unbelievable sponsors, and a new one's coming. A new one. I just found out for sure. Well, we made it official over the weekend, but I'll have news on that. Here's the big NFL news. Stop me if you've ever heard this before. The Rams have traded a first-round pick, a 2027 first-round pick, and Garrett, who's a dang good player, former first-round pick, 2024 draft, two-time Pro Bowler, good edge rusher. He's got, 12 sacks, 22 tackles for loss over the last two seasons. Good player, really fine young player. They're being traded. The first-round pick and Jared Verse for Myles Garrett. Whoa. Man, and I know Cowboys fans. Well, I know it. You're sitting out there like, oh, why couldn't we have Myles Garrett? Well, don't we kind of need a pass rusher? Yes. But wait, don't you have Rashawn Gary? He ain't this guy. Not even close. 29 years old, still in the prime of his career, although, closer to the end of his prime, maybe than the start of his prime, but he is still, I think certainly till the end of his contract, which goes through 2030, he can give you some unbelievable years. Two-time NFL Defensive Player of the Year, sack artist, has the record. He does a lot. I mean, how many did he have last year, Kev? I mean, I'm just trying to remember what year he actually got that record. He had an amazing amount of sacks on a bad team. And the Browns had said, no, we will not trade him. No, we will not trade him. And then at some point recently, apparently they said that Verse needed to be in the talks. And, of course, the Rams didn't want him in there, and they got him in there.
Last year he set the record 23 sacks.
23. Was that old Strahan's record? I'm trying to remember.
J.J. Watt, 22 and a half. I think that was actually tied with Strahan, so both of them together.
Okay.
Yeah.
The former Texas A&M great. I mean, it's incredible that how much they go for it. They just traded for the great Chiefs cornerback, and that they gave up a first-round pick for him. But that was before this draft. and now they've gone all in. And I was laughing with Kevin earlier today, even in the report. And by the way, now Ian Rappaport and Adam Schefter both work for ESPN, so it was a team concept. I think Tom Pelissero, who's a heck of a nice guy, by the way, was also involved. So let's give the three of them credit. They all work together. We used to do the thing, Kev, where we'd go like, oh, who had this first? Oh, look, it's Schefter by 1 minute, or Ian Rappaport by 1 minute. Now they are working together. And, I mean, this has ramifications all across the NFC. This is a team that is absolutely going for it. I got to say, at first blush, I kind of like this deal for the Browns. I mean, I give all the credit in the world for the Rams are always going for it. Whether it's a huge haul to go get Stafford, whether it's to go get the DB, they don't care about their first round picks. And that's how they've gotten the nickname FDM picks. And everybody knows it, and everybody kind of laughs about it, and they embrace it. It's who they are. They want great, proven players, and they've got McDuffie in the secondary, and now they bring in the great Myles Garrett. Now, why do I like this for the Browns? Well, I mean, just look at what they have next year. I think now they have, Kev, just on the surface, they got 11 picks. Going to have 2 first-round picks, at least. I mean, they'll have the one they were already going to have, and then they got this one now. And you go, Matt, it's the Rams pick. Rams are going to be pretty good. I get that. But let's not act like you can't use 2 first-round picks to kind of move around if you need to in the first round. And they get Jared Verse. I mean, no, you would never trade these guys head up, okay? He's not Myles Garrett. He's pretty dang good. I mean, it's a great young player. And Jared Verse is not even, he hadn't even reached his second deal yet. I mean, Jared Verse is probably, if he was drafted in 24, he's probably 24 years old at the oldest. I guess he could be 25 the way these guys hang around, but he probably came out a year early, and I bet he's 23 or 24 years old. Kev, check me on that one. But bottom line is he's younger. He's probably at least 5 years younger than Myles Garrett, and I'm telling you, man, I got to see this guy in person, and I mean at Cowboys training camp where the Rams came in, and he is just a whirling dervish of activity. Now, Kev, I was just seeing this text from you. So you correct me if I get anything wrong here, because there was another thing that came through with Mike Garafolo, who was a great guy, by the way. The way the picks, because when this was reported, the draft compensation was all still being worked out. So you're telling me, Kev, that the Browns get 2027 first, a 2028 second round pick, and a 2029 third round pick. Oh, okay, man. Okay. I mean, I know Garrett's great. He's the greatest. He's the greatest defender, in the league. And I mean, Aaron, who's our old buddy? Aaron Donald, you remember him, who was such an incredible player, NFL Defensive Player of the Year, played at Pitt, great player in that defensive line for the Rams, tremendous player. I mean, they go now from having that unbelievable player for several years to having Myles Garrett at least until, what are we in, 2026? So 26, 27, 28, 29. I mean, and again, not everybody always makes it to the end of their contracts, but his deal is through 2030. I think he signed an extension last year. I think the extension was somewhere around the neighborhood, Kev, of like $160 million extension. Again, I'm just remembering that off the top of my head. But this takes the Rams out of a bit of a predicament. They had Kobe. Kobe's is it Kobe Bryant? Kobe. They had the young DB. They had Verse. They have another young player that they were all gonna have to like figure out how to get deals done, and now they move Verse before his deal is done, and then the Browns obviously end up saving a lot of money. Now, what precipitated this? There was a deal. The Browns changed. He was due like some big bonus in March, and they moved it to like right before the season for this bonus to kick in. And for whatever reason, that made this trade easier. That made this trade easier to get done. So there you go. I mean, enormous blockbuster. And again, I kind of like this deal for the Browns. Huge haul. I know we're talking about 2029. When we start talking about 28 picks at 29, like that's a long way. A ton will happen by then. Well, that's what the Rams think. That's the way the Rams operate. Is what? We'll deal with that when we deal with it. All right. What's a second round pick 2 drafts from now? What's a third round pick 3 drafts from now? All right. We'll have gone for Super Bowls 3 times before we make that pick, before we're even there. Who will even be here? Will our head coach still be here? Will our quarterback still be playing? We took his replacement, Ty Simpson, very controversial pick in this past draft. But, Kev, the Cowboys, for instance, they have remade their defense. And that rookie, Caleb Downs, is very exciting. It's a very exciting player. But let's compare things. They didn't do anything really on the edge that would excite you, that would go, oh, my gosh. Micah who? We don't even remember Michael Parsons around here with this group we're putting together. No, it's typical Cowboys. Let's go get Rashawn Gary. Even though Ezraku's had like a hip surgery we didn't know about, hopefully he'll be really good next year. And let's bring a few people back. Oh, and by the way, we're not going to bring back Clowney, who was our best pass rusher. We're not going to do that. All right. We'll just kind of bring the band back together and just see if we can generate a pass rush. Is that Gary? Yeah. So bottom line is, it's
Speaking of the Cowboys, we should probably mention what the Giants have been doing, because that's also what I sent you with. They picked up now 3 receivers just today.
Well, I mean, I'm with you. I'm here for you, and that would have been a big discussion, in addition to what the Eagles were about to do. But this was a monstrous trade, and we'll continue to talk about it throughout the day. But it's a seismic. Listen, that was a huge deal they did for Stafford. It was a big deal they did for the cornerback McDuffie. This is nearly as big as the Stafford deal. It's a 29-year-old still at the peak, at the absolute peak, and they're saying, yeah, we'll give up a bunch of stuff, and we'll give up a great young player in Verse. We want a monster. We want the greatest defensive player in the game. You know, we did all that talking, Kev, about Max Crosby. Oh my gosh, monstrous deal. Oh, look what the Ravens did. Then they backed out on it. Then he has to go, you know, it's like, oh, welcome back. Welcome back, Max. We're happy to have you. You know, this, I think if somebody got Crosby, it'd still be a big deal, but it's not as big as this guy. Crosby may be a bit younger than our man Myles Garrett, but he's not as good. He's not as healthy. Myles has been off in like Japan and just been off in the Far East. He's been hanging out like, hey, I'm just over here in the Far East looking at some things, checking how everything is over here. And then boom. And he had a no trade clause, by the way. But when I don't know why, if you're playing for Cleveland, I don't know if why you want a no trade clause. You'd want to trade me any minute clause. And he's waiving that. Ladies and gentlemen, can you imagine a man getting to go to Los Angeles where they're actually a Super Bowl contender would waive his no trade clause? And then he ends up with the Rams. They are so freaking good. I mean, they really are. They really are good. Let me see what Kev has put up here. All right. Okay. So Stafford led the NFL in pass touchdowns and passing yards. Led the NFL in receiving yards. That Devontae Adams up there. Puka Nacua led the NFL in receptions, and now they have the NFL sack leader. Whoa. Kev, who do we credit that for? Is that just you putting that together, or was that like a Schefter? Looks like a Schefter thing.
Sports Center put that up.
Okay.
Yep.
Just want to make sure. We're always giving credit. But that's good. I like that one. I mean, that just shows you the kind of monster team that they are. And, you know, the Browns didn't get better immediately. Let's not act like Jared Verse is just a walk-in day one great replacement for but he's, you know what, he's a poor man's Myles. He's younger. He's 5 years younger. This guy is a heck of a player. Like, Kev, I mean, like, I would have traded. I mean, if the Cowboys could have gotten Verse, I mean, I would have been going crazy. I mean, that would have been an unbelievable deal. And not only did the Browns get Verse, but they get a first-round pick in 2027, second-rounder in 2028, and a third-rounder in 2029, along with the player. In some ways, I liked what Cleveland did more than what the Cowboys got for Micah Parsons. I do, because they got Kenny Clark was the player. He's 29 or 30 years old. He's fine. But he's not Jared Verse. He's not Jared Verse. Now you say, Matt, that was 2 first-round picks. Okay. But the player was not of the caliber of Jared Verse. Let's not try to act like Kenny Clark is. He's fine. He's a nice player. And you say, well, Matt, they got 2 first-round picks. Okay. They've already used one of them to get another defensive tackle, Quinnen Williams, which is fine. Good player. But you got 2 guys sprinting toward their late 20s playing D tackle for you. And you got one more. You used your first-round pick this year on that you got from that trade on you got Downs with the first one, and then you did get the pass rusher in the draft. Let's not I sometimes, Kev, forget about that a little bit too much, that with the pick they got from the Packers, they got the young man out of UCF. All right, later in the draft, 20. What did they pick? They picked. They got Downs at 12. They moved up to 11 actually to get him, and the UCF pick, Kevin, was at. I've slept since then. 20.
They moved back a little bit. Like 20. They were at 20. Right? They went to 23 to get Malachi.
They did
Lawrence.
a deal with the Eagles. Eagles came up to take the receiver.
Yeah.
Cowboys went from 20 to 23.
Yeah.
Something like that. Okay.
Now,
Go ahead.
To get Malachi Lawrence. Okay, so as a reminder, this is the Rams. The time that the only times they have taken a first round pick. Jared Goff traded for Matthew Stafford. Jared Verse traded for Myles Garrett now. And now Ty Simpson. It's a good thing his name isn't Jared, I guess. I mean, because if he was Jared, drafted in the first round for the Rams since Sean McVay, he would have been traded.
Yeah, and McVay did not seem overly happy about the Ty Simpson pick, although we've since found out that maybe he was mad at somebody or having some kind of spat. To why he was. Yeah.
This move says that the Rams hosting the Super Bowl in SoFi this year, they are all in on this year. They do not care about anything else other than getting it done this year. I know that he could have more time. We don't know if Stafford has any more time. This is the Rams pushing in all of their chips to say, we are doing this year.
This is the kind of reaction, Kev, and I agree. They did that time they traded for Stafford, they won a Super Bowl not long after, right?
It was the year after.
Was that the year they were hosting?
Yep.
So hosting again, by the way, the poor old Cowboys, they just don't even want to. They don't want to come back to Dallas because we had that freeze and they don't like us anymore. We can't control the weather. Goodness. Now we could have done a better job putting down salt and taking care of the media and everybody. It was not a good look. All right. But it's not even that cold that time of year. Really bad luck. But you're right. I mean, I think it's kind of dumb, honestly. And, to let that be a driving force. I don't think hosting a Super Bowl would help me determine whether or not I make a trade. Now, I'm not saying that was the only reason they did it, but to your point, it may have incentivized that. Hey, Super Bowl's coming here. Let's do this. I missed them. I liked it when they played the Coliseum. That was just kind of funny because it was historical. It was decaying. It was kind of a mess. But it was so fun. I loved going to the Coliseum. I just loved everything about it. And now they've got the monstrous, beautiful, gorgeous SoFi, which, Kevin, I remember years ago, I'd never heard of SoFi. And they were relatively new in the space or whatever they do, right? Loans or whatever. And I was hosting by myself an XM national show like Mad Dog Radio. And I think that whole night I called it Sophie. You think I'd be able to look at that and go, probably SoFi. And no. I just looked at it and I'm like, Sophie? It didn't put it together. And now, of course, it's a very commonplace and everybody knows what it is. You know what, though? The Rams they're owned by none other than Stan Kroenke. He's got the Nuggets and he's got this and that. He's got these international, one of those EPL teams. He's just, everything he touches turns to gold. And ever since he's taken over the Rams, they just do big time things. So, both sides, a good deal is when both sides are happy. But if you're making me right now in this moment say who won this trade, I'm tempted to say the Cleveland Browns because I love Verse. I'm a huge, huge fan of that guy's. Kevin, did you look up how old he is? Is he 24? He's
25. 25.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
4 years younger than our man Myles Garrett, which again is that's a big deal. That's a big deal. He'll be ready for his new deal within the next year or so. All right. He from the time he showed up with the Rams, he's a talker. He is a leader. He is a fun dude to have around. All right. And I'm sure today he's like, geez, what's happened to me? I've been sent to Siberia. I've been sent to this team that has no quarterbacks. They just got a bunch of foolish quarterbacks. I couldn't even, other than Shador and the kid that played at OU at one point. Kev, who did they bring in? Who's possibly gonna be the starter? Don't they have a veteran? Who's their veteran starter? The Cleveland Browns. Just remember I like their coach. He was a good offensive coordinator for the Ravens. Do you remember, Kevin, off the top of your head, who are the Browns going to try to start at quarterback?
Deshaun Watson is still there and still getting paid a lot of money.
Horrible.
And then they got Dylan Gabriel, and they drafted the guy in the 6th round, super athletic, but
and they got
for
Shador.
a quarterback may not be, it was just another, Shador kind of.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Some people were in love with Shador, but yeah, Deshaun. I don't know. How can you forget a guy that's owed that much money, that got the greatest deal in sports history, even though they knew he was a bad guy? Oh, Matt, it's just allegations. I don't know. I mean, if like 25 women come forward.
Taylor Green.
Probably
Green
somebody, the unbelievable athlete out of Arkansas. You're right.
Yeah.
I mean, if you could somehow, that's a good fit for Taylor Green because that coach was with Lamar Jackson for a few years. And Taylor Green is not Lamar Jackson, but he may be about the closest thing around. He is a tremendous athlete and he can throw it a little bit. Let's not act like he doesn't throw the ball. Now, he'll throw it right to you. He'll throw it to the defense if you don't watch him. All right, Kev, we are in the 2:00 hour. We're going to, and we'll talk Giants. Don't worry. When we get to about 2, we'll do what the Giants did, what the Eagles are about to do. I mean, there's a lot of other NFL news, but we need to keep hitting the news of the day, which is the monstrous deal that Myles Garrett is now with the Los Angeles Rams. Wow. I mean, even think about just that division. Everybody's trying to kind of get together. Okay, who do we got playing quarterback this year in Arizona? What about the defending Super Bowl champs, the team that played against them in the NFC title game? What are they thinking today? Whoa, really? I mean, y'all going to do that? What are the mighty 49ers thinking over there? Whoa, geez, man. All right. I mean, they're all looking up and going, these guys just keep getting better. So, again, are the Rams a better team today than they were about 2-3 hours ago? Yes. Are the Browns a better team? No. Are the Browns in better position to maybe flip this thing? Yeah. I mean, this is not a bad haul. It's not a bad haul. First round pick, 2027. Jared Verse. Second round pick in 2028. Third round pick in 2028. That's good, solid draft compensation. All right. I mean, I don't know. I forget who's running the Browns. They fired their coach. Did they keep the other guy? Andrew Berry. I think they did. I think Andrew Berry's still around there. Kudos to you, sir. because you held your ground. See, Cowboys couldn't hold their ground. Mike is over there taking a nap on the training table during a preseason game, and so they had their hand forced. Oh, we got a great deal. Okay, all right. I mean, I don't know. You had the arguably the second best pass rusher in the game after Myles Garrett. You had the great Micah Parsons. Oh, Matt, but he got hurt with Green Bay. Okay, all right. You're just going to assume he would have gotten hurt if he'd have stayed with the Cowboys. I mean, that I know some people will be like, that trade's worked out okay for the Cowboys. We don't know yet. How do we know that? I mean, one of the picks, you got Quinnen Williams for like a half a season. You got Kenny Clark for one full season. And you got Malachi Lawrence, and we got no clue. We got no clue how much he's going to be able to help you. So let's not act like, oh, the Cowboys won the Micah Parsons trade. Give me a break. A little too early for that. We think Micah's career is over. If we just decided, oh, he got hurt, he'll never come back from it. I mean, I don't think that's fair. He's a young guy. He's got a good chance to come back from that injury. All right, Kev, let's do some Campus Confidential. And Kevin, we got to mention the latest news coming out of Lubbock. They were slugging it out in the courtroom today, and we'll have a big-time guest at 2:30 that was in that courtroom. All of it coming up next.
It's the 2026 Heart of Texas Builders Association Parade of Homes, brought to you by the First National Bank of Central Texas. Tour a variety of homes at different price points, plus see the latest trends from beautiful kitchens to outdoor living spaces. See the latest colors and design patterns. This is your chance to walk through homes, meet the builders, and get inspiration for your own projects. The Heart of Texas Builders Association Parade of Homes, June 5th, 6th, and 7th, and June 13th and 14th. Tickets are available online or at any parade home. For more information, go to wacohomeparade.com. At Schmaltz's Sandwich Shop, we don't just make sandwiches, we build them with fresh ingredients, bold flavors, and homemade baked bread every single day. Toasty on the outside, goodness on the inside. Schmaltz's Sandwich Shop in Waco is locally owned and operated since 1975 with 2 locations in Waco, Town West off Valley Mills and downtown off 5th Street. Whether it's lunch, dinner, or just a craving, we got the perfect bite waiting for you.
Have you heard the latest about CTWP? Let me tell you. How about 2 cents for a color copy? Only Kyocera offers. Don't believe me? We were the copier dolls? Grab your paperwork and let's compare. I guarantee CTWP has the best prices and service.
Bumblebee Blinds of Waco and Temple is your one-stop shop for custom window treatment, transforming your vision into reality. Choose from a selection of shades, blinds, shutters, and curtains. Bumblebee Blinds stands behind our service and products, ensuring peace of mind with our trusted warranty. Call Bumblebee Blinds today to schedule your design consultation. Bumblebee Blinds, simplifying window treatments one covering at a time. BumblebeeBlinds.com.
Do you suffer from low sports enthusiasm? Have you just not been able to get into the game? Maybe your balls are just feeling deflated. Well, get back to your old self and enjoy the game again. The friendly bartenders at Dancing Bear want you to know that you're not alone, and they can help. With dozens of craft beers rotating every week, pints of beer at Dancing Bear Pub have proven to reduce symptoms of low sports enthusiasm. Side effects include good times, good vibes, and new friends. Do not visit Dancing Bear Pub without consulting 4 or 5 of your closest buddies.
It's the premier charity event of the year, the 2026 Central Texas Cattle Barons Ball, presented by Ascension Providence. A fun evening filled with great food and drink, dancing, a spectacular auction, and more. This year's theme is Nashville Nights, Neon Lights, and Bullfights. Get your tickets now, donate, or be a sponsor. Help support the American Cancer Society to find a cure. The 2026 Central Texas Cattle Barons Ball, October 24th at MCC Highlander Ranch. For more information, go to centraltexascattlebaronsball.org.
It's the Mosley Show, and we're back up and rolling. And man, it is lots of excitement out there today, and not just talking about the French Open. All right, we're talking about huge NFL trade And we've been talking about it to start the show. We went the first 40 minutes of the show. In fact, Myles Garrett heads over to the Los Angeles Rams from the Browns. Browns get back Jared Verse. They get a first-round pick. They get a second-round pick in 2028, third-round pick in 2029. Pretty good haul. And of course, the Rams now assume that big contract, so frees up a little bit of space there for the Cleveland Browns as they kind of try to put a little something together. They don't really have a quarterback that anybody could trust, but they got a head coach that I kind of like in Monken. That's who's that? Todd Monken. I like him, and I root for the guy. I really do. So I kind of hope the Browns get things turned around. And Jared Verse is a heck of a player. He really is a nice player. Now, in the 2 o'clock hour, at about 2:05, we'll get back into the NFL. We have things to share, but we do have some campus confidential for you, including, Kev, those events happening out there in Lubbock, Texas today, where the two sides were throwing some haymakers at each other. Jeffrey Kessler, well-known attorney for Brendan Sorsby, and Brendan Sorsby was not there. But, Kev, where would you like to start as we do some campus confidential?
All right. Well, you know I love Indiana. So I wanted to get to see what you thought about Curt Cignetti and see if you agreed with him saying the market is pretty expensive. It's scary. I think players should get paid, but something is going to have to be done in the next 12 to 24 months, or universities may not be able to handle this. College football won't be able to exist where we're going right now.
Well, it just would exist for the Big Ten and SEC. I mean, he's right that it's going to a scary place. It doesn't feel sustainable at all. It's interesting that some of the same people that are driving this in Indiana is certainly right now flush with money, are the same people saying, hey, we're going to put ourselves out of business. So, and I don't think just because you're doing well like Indiana, it precludes your coach from bringing this up. I mean, Alabama was on top for a long time with Nick Saban at the helm, and Nick Saban's one of the ones who was most saying, hey, this is bad. This is bad for college athletics. I guess the best news I could tell you, Kevin, so I got no problem with Cignetti, and I agree with him. The people who seem to have a pretty good feel in college athletics right now seem to think that some form of this bill that Cruz and Cantwell have put together will pass. I still have my doubts. I mean, as long as Greg Sankey and the SEC are just like, no, man, get your pooling the rights, get that out of here. We're not going to do anything. But that doesn't mean that a significant portion of what's trying to be accomplished in this bill couldn't come to fruition. Now, I don't know about collective bargaining. If we're going to get to that, I think some people think that is the answer. But I have no problem with what Curt Cignetti is saying, and he's right. And while we keep watching, and we still love college athletics, and we still love talking about it, we're also probably watching it implode before our very eyes. Like the Baylor can't. I mean, as much as we want to think of ourselves as, hey, remember we won the Big 12 title in 2021. Remember we were great under Art and all that stuff. As it's going right now, we can't compete. I say we because I'm a Baylor Bear, because I went there, okay? Somebody that used to work with me. We don't do that. Like, okay, whatever. But it's bad, but even like college basketball is completely out of control. Do you see anybody like refusing to watch? Do you see like a huge downturn in ratings? No, you don't. And until you see sort of a mass exodus from we don't like this product anymore, nothing's going to change. In fact, they're trying to give us more of it.
Right.
To say, here's 24 teams, which is so stupid. It's the dumbest
Or in
thing
college basketball, they're expanding that too.
Yeah. But that compared, that, as dumb as it is, isn't nearly the impact that is going from 12 to 24 in football.
Right.
Which is just dumb on so many levels. And yet everybody, because they want to support their conference, even Dave Aranda, who's a guy that really shoots you straight on a lot of different things, had to come out and felt like he needed to say, yes, we want 24 teams. Like, come on. Elko told the truth. Thank you, Mike Elko. Because Mike Elko, the A&M coach, basically came out and said, hey, we're doing this for our own survival. Coaches want 24 so we don't get fired. Thank you. That was the most honesty we've seen in college athletics in a long time. And I was appreciative of that sentiment from none other than Mike Elko.
Well, speaking of costs and speaking of that bill, you retweeted this, but you didn't give any thoughts. So I wanted to get your thoughts on what Josh Pate's observations on this College Athletics Reform Act here.
Is this bill going to pass? It's going to pass comfortably. It's going to pass the Senate comfortably, and it's going to pass the House comfortably. But the tough part about supporting this bill is I agree with like 60% of the opposition's viewpoints on it. You guys are pushing back on this bill and saying this is essentially bailing out terrible decision making. The adults who screwed it up are getting bailed out, and you're not wrong. You and I are locked arm in arm on that. If you want to talk about how administrative spending has been out of control, if you want to talk about how buyout structures have been out of control because it's monopoly money, and they know that, oh, don't worry, someone will take care of us. Oh, we'll get bailed out one way or the other. Yeah, it's pathetic. It's pathetic. Those people ought not be in charge of anything. If you guys could show me a magic lever where I could pull it and all of those people are flushed out during the process, I'd love to pull it right along with you. That'd be a bipartisan lever pull. I'd love to do that. It's not the world we live in. So in an idealistic world, I'd be happy to have that conversation with you because you're right about it. Even though you're opposing the viewpoint I have, I agree with you. But in a more realistic world, a lot of these folks are going to be around for a long time.
The only thing I would disagree with, I mean, most of his thoughts I'm kind of on board with. And I told you there was some sentiment to this thing that it's going to pass in some way. I don't know how meaningful it will be. Like, it's still going to be hard to monitor and shut down the rev share was supposed to give us some guardrails. It gave us no guardrails. It just caused people to go around it. So to say that it's going to comfortably pass in the Senate and the House, he may not totally remember. I know he interviewed Trump recently, how the House and the Senate work. It could breeze through in the Senate and it could get stuck in the House and it could get blocked. And I think that's certainly something that could happen. Let me just tell you this. There's enough people from the SEC and Greg Sankey and then from the great state of Ohio State, and from the great state of Michigan, the Wolverines. They're going to be in their lawmakers' ear. No, this kills us. No, we don't like this. The pulling of the rights, we can't do that. They're going to try to hammer at this bill to where it won't look exactly like what it was intended to look like. But in terms of, did they mess this thing up from the start? Sure. But why did that happen? Well, again, this is not the time for that. But the reason is the NCAA stiff-arm the student athletes and any sort of lawsuit for so long and had these quote-unquote amateurism for so long that when it finally lost a case, everything came crashing down. And I'll say right now, the only case I think the NCAA is possibly going to win, like the only meaningful type case that I think they have a chance to win, is against Brendan Sorsby, the gambling quarterback at Texas Tech. And Kev, that leads me to my next thing. And if you've got another one, we'll come right back to it. But and we're going to talk to somebody that was in that courtroom out in Lubbock. But I think this is a huge story today. Brendan Sorsby, I kind of thought this is what would happen, Kev. His defense attorneys are trying to walk him off on what he did, even though thousands of dollars, and bet on his own games at Indiana, even though he wasn't playing those games. What he did was not against the so-called integrity of the game. In fact, Kevin, apparently Hoosiers are big gamblers because they're using a case that the former Indiana volleyball coach, you may remember this, I didn't even remember this, got caught betting on some stuff, and they ended up only suspending that coach for 30% of the season. And the former Indiana volleyball coach. All right. And I don't exactly know. I don't pretend to know anything about Indiana volleyball to know maybe that coach wasn't betting on his own games, because for generations now, NFL, anything. And I think the NCAA's attorneys are making a pretty good point. They're saying there's no professional precedent in any league that anybody who did what Brendan Sorsby did and got to play again, at any level, this should eliminate you and end your collegiate career. Now, as I said to you, Kevin, I don't think it should hold up the NFL. They'll take him in the supplemental draft. They'll watch him. They'll put him in their programs and make sure he doesn't get caught up in gambling again. They'll help him along. But what do all these people want? Do they really want the well-being? Do we, let's help Brendan Sorsby? Because Brendan Sorsby, if I was Tech, I'd be secretly mad at this guy. Yeah, they want him and they're standing by him. But the guy lied. He I don't know if he lied. He hid his gambling issues at Indiana. He hid them at Cincinnati. We now have evidence that Cincinnati probably knew about it, and they let him go on to Tech, and they probably had something to do with the chirping, right? Who ratted him out? Well, it turns out that law enforcement told the bookmakers, the Vegas people, or whoever was the gambling folks, and they tipped off the NCAA. I think is the way that all happened. If you don't think that Cincinnati was in somebody's ear at the NCAA, hey, y'all know that this Sorsby kid, you may want to take a peek at this. Apparently, this kid was gambling on some games. Then you don't know how college athletics work. I can almost promise you that Cincinnati played some role. Now, Indiana sounds like didn't even really know it was going on. I don't think. I haven't heard evidence yet that Indiana knew what was going on at the time. And it turns out, Kev, and I had a line over the weekend, Kevin, I think you would have kind of found funny. And I don't know, it's a little bit, but it was like a Mike Woodson humor type stuff, right? My thought is, if you find yourself now, if you're betting against Mike Woodson coach teams, that's smart. That's smart betting, right? But I don't know how much he was betting for. I did look it up, Kevin. How much do you think? I'll tell you, and I'll tell you how many games. It was like about 120 games, let's call it, that Mike Woodson coached at Indiana.
Yeah.
What do you think he was against the spread?
Two and whatever. 2 times.
I don't know what that means.
But he won 2 of them against the spread.
Okay, no, he wasn't.
No, not that bad.
That'd be the worst. Okay, that's a bad guess.
Yeah.
But it's a funny guess. I think I know what you were doing. You're just kind of showing how awful he was.
Yes.
But 55, 65, and 2, which is not good. But see, this kid was betting on Indiana basketball, other sports. He was betting on his own football team. When he was on the team, he wasn't really playing. Like, I wouldn't say like what he's done should prevent him from having a football career. But I also don't really get the argument, and I've tried to kind of make it, and so I don't even like my own argument when I make this. I understand how hypocritical it is to get in bed. I mean, as we're saying, bad. I'm watching Giannis Antetokounmpo on a Kalshi commercial, which is basically gambling, but it's like the prediction markets is what it is, and they're able to kind of put it under a different name, but it's basically gambling, right? And here he is. Would it be legal for Giannis Antetokounmpo to be playing in Kalshi? I don't think so, but he's like the lead spokesperson for it. I'm watching the NBA Western Conference Finals, and I got Giannis Antetokounmpo telling me, hey, go do this Kalshi thing. So on one hand, we're like, okay, man, we're going to name our stadiums after FanDuel, and we're going to name our stadiums after Kalshi. But, oh, by the way, if you ever do this, we're going to ban you forever. I get that it's hypocritical. But there's no, if you're in your right mind, you really can't defend what this kid did. He was betting on the team that he was playing for. Like, we had Pete Rose before, and I know they've let, Pete's going to get to go in the Hall of Fame. Now he's dead. He doesn't get to enjoy it. He's gone. But there's no scenario where this is okay, what Sorsby did. All right? Now, I get what Tech's trying to do. And I get what his attorneys are trying to do. And they're trying to walk him off, and it was the only mistake the NCAA made today. I thought the NCAA attorney actually did pretty well in that hearing today. And we'll have somebody that was in that courtroom at 2:30 join us. All right, they're driving home from Lubbock as we speak. Someone from On3 Sports. All right, Red Raider Sports covers Texas Tech. Jarrett Ramirez is going to jump on with us. He was in that courtroom. And the judge has I don't know how quickly the judge is going to rule. The judge had a recess. Sorsby was not there today. But the only thing the NCAA did that was a little bit weird is they tried to say that Sorsby manufactured this addiction issue. Well, no, I think they had done the right thing in acknowledging that he's got a problem and that he went to rehab, and you need to just deal with that above board. It does you no good, NCAA, to sit there and try to make some argument. No, they're only doing this because of this and this and this. Because the whole argument from his defense are like, this kid has a mental health issue. This kid has a gambling addiction. It's just like if we had like a substance abuse issue. And if you're in the business, NCAA, of helping these people deal with these personal issues and addictions, then you can't just, and so then it got in a back and forth of, I didn't think this was smart of NCAA either. They're trying to say that him playing football again would trigger the gambling stuff. Because being around the football, being around his teammates, that's not an argument you need to make. Because his own counselor is saying, or therapist, whatever, is saying that it would be beneficial for him to be back around his teammates and football would be good for him. Again, the NCAA does not need to make that argument. The NCAA simply needs to make the argument that these are the rules. Like, this is a blatant violation of rules that have been on the books. And their only hope, Sorsby's only hope, is of getting some kind of hometown deal. Now, again, the old Red Raider judge recused himself from this case. And so the judge on this case, I think, graduated from UTA undergrad and University of Houston Law School. So it's not like he came in from Fort Worth. He's like a retired judge. So it's not like they're getting a true hometown judge, although they got a good venue because it's right down the street there in Lubbock, Texas. All right, Kev, I just thought I would put on some of my legal hat. You know, I did spend some time at the beautiful Baylor Law School, although it was Morrison Hall back then, and it was not beautiful. And by the way, they're going to renovate that place and maybe get some of that asbestos out of there. And they're going to it's going to be the home to the speech communication and all that stuff. And kudos to Blair Browning, my college roommate, who's the chair of that department, the speech department. All right. And they're going to have 3 floors of students. 3 floors? They have 3 floors in that building. And that's a good, they got like 1,000 kids in that program now, Kev. When I was there, we may have had 200. It was great. We loved it. We had a great time. It was a great major. But I bet we had 150 to 200. Over 1,000 kids are in that speech communication program at Baylor now. Kudos to Blair Browning and the Hillman family. Michael Hillman's mom is Kathy Hillman, has a huge endowed chair there in that department, in that speech comm department. Okay, and John Hillman, her husband, I used to do some sports writing with him back in the day. Kevin, it's enough name dropping for one day. Do you have any other college?
That'll do it for me.
All right, let's do NFL. We had Giants news. We had the monster trade. And then, the Eagles are about to do something. Okay, that could happen when we get off the air. Is that 4 p.m. Eastern? So that's about the time we get off the air. That process could start happening with A.J. Brown. So we'll keep you up to date on all that. Let's do some NFL. And then we got a guest from the courtroom in Lubbock, Texas, will join us in about 25 minutes. It's all coming up next.
Lake Waco Golf Club is a semi-private facility nestled along the north point of Lake Waco. One of the few facilities in Texas to have a full 18-hole regulation golf course as well as an executive 18-hole par 3 golf course. Plus, check out their bar and grill, which is open to the public. And if you're not a golfer, then enjoy time by the pool or even enjoy fishing around Lake Waco. Become a member today and call to book your tee time. Lake Waco Golf Club, where family and friends fun begins. Check them out at lakewacogc.com for more information.
I have a lot of friends reach out to me about buying vehicles for their fleet and their business, and I always recommend Allen Samuels. You see a lot of businesses running different brands, but I really think Rams are the best looking ones out there. They're going to take care of you. They're going to make sure that you get what you need, and they're always going to take care of you on the service side and the sales side.
Like Allen Samuels always said, Waco has a lot to offer, and so do we at Allen Samuels Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat. Come by, let's be friends.
Enjoy a quiet atmosphere with beautiful river views at the Brazos Landing, located in Waco along the Brazos River across from McLean Stadium. Enjoy homemade dishes like shrimp and grits, chicken piccata, braised short ribs, prime New York steaks, and more. Plus, enjoy a delicious dessert like creme brulee or key lime pie. Open for lunch and dinner Tuesday through Sunday. Brazos Landing in Waco, the only place where I-35 and the Brazos River meet.
When you strive for greatness, you have a target on your back. When it comes to finances, we're all targets for scammers. But with the right game plan, you can protect yourself. Don't get faked by fraud.
Here's a tip. If you receive a call from someone claiming to be from a company, don't give them your personal information, ever. Unless you know them personally, hang up and call the company back on a verified number.
This message is brought to you by Central National Bank.
Mosley's back with you. Thank you, C&B. Thank you for what you do. Thank you Sherry Johnson, Siegmund James. We got news, in the past 48 hours or so, 72 hours, one of the top long-time prestigious car dealerships in the greater Waco area is coming on to the Mosley show. And they'll do some things with our man Pete and J-Mo, but the Mosley show, it's what they wanted to be a part of. So we're very excited about that. We'll be kind of rolling that out. We'll do a nice big presentation. So that's about as exciting as you could get right there. So we're happy about that. Kev, I've been so caught up in this trade. Reminder, we've been talking about it all day. Myles Garrett now plays for the Los Angeles Rams. I mean, there he is. It's a wild. It's just not what we thought we were going to wake up to today. Not what we thought was going to happen. But it happened before the show. We've been talking about it, discussing it. It's tough for that division. They become better. It's a Super Bowl contender already. You add to that the best pass rusher in the game. Now, he's not going to be joining Jared Verse because Jared Verse is going back to Cleveland. Jared Verse, a great young player, 25-year-old player on his rookie deal still. He is one heck of a player. And I love Jared Verse. He's going over there, and he'll be there with. And then they got some picks. They got the first round pick in 2027. They got a second round pick in 28. They got a third round 29. So very, very interesting how all this is shaping up. And in fact, Kev, I just saw Brandon, who does such a nice job with a lot of our social media. He's already turned some things around to get the word out of some of our comments about this trade. Now, Kevin, before we get ready to go inside the courtroom of what happened in Lubbock, Texas today, I thought the NCAA made some really good points. I think Brendan Sorsby and his team, they're grasping at straws. They'll try just about anything. I think they're going to kind of try to hit on the judges' emotions. And but I think the precedent's going to win out on this thing, which is we can't point to almost anything where anybody's ever done what Sorsby did, this many bets on his own team, and just kind of like, no, we're going to let him play. We're going to let him play. We're going to let him play his senior year out here at Lubbock, see what he does while we're kind of figuring all this out. And we think this would be better for his mental health. I mean, I'm not saying the kid doesn't have a problem. And it may include mental health issues that go along with the gambling. And I hope he's gotten help. I hope he's doing better. I mean, I've tried to stay away from the easy jokes and all that kind of stuff. But, unless you're betting on Mike Woodson's Indiana basketball teams, now I'll joke about that. That is right there. That's a very big problem. But see, there I did it again. But I hope he finds help, and I think he's going to end up getting his shot to play in the NFL. All right, and even Joey McGuire, as much as Joey's a good friend, Joey knows deep down that there's probably about a 2% chance that this kid plays for Texas Tech this year. It would be, and that's what the NCAA said. They are trying to throw some kind of Hail Mary. He actually used that quote today about the courtroom. So, but Kev, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention who is playing, and they'll get about 4 days here to rest. They'll be okay. Now, they're not getting as much rest as the New York Knicks had, who swept the sad sack Cleveland Cavaliers, who just did not even show up in that series. Showed up in one game, and then they forfeited the game. They lost a 22-point lead with 7 minutes left. But, Kevin, the San Antonio Spurs win Game 6, win Game 7, go into OKC and get that thing done. And, Kevin, I was not texting you much during that, but I was thinking of texting you to say, whoa, They threw a haymaker, and OKC answered it and was in fine position. Even going into the fourth quarter, it was only, a 5-point game, 4 or 5 point game. It was fine. Halftime, it was a 5-point game. I mean, that thing was really interesting because you kept thinking, well, okay, they're in trouble. OKC, here they are. Okay, they're back up. They're back up. They're winning this game. San Antonio's in trouble. And then, like De'Aaron Fox, one of the few times, the only time really, when OKC jumped ahead and they got up by about 4. And I want to say it was like 83-79 or something like that. And it may have been in the third quarter at some point. And De'Aaron Fox, who had not had a great series, been banged up to start the series, I thought he hit a couple of huge shots. I also thought somewhere in there that the underutilized, underrated Keldon Johnson, number 3 for San Antonio, hit a couple of huge buckets. He hit a couple of threes that put them back up, and they got back up, and they got a 7-point lead, and quite honestly, they never looked back. SGA was having to do it all by himself. He had a little help from Cason Wallace, the old player from Richardson High School, right up down the road from where I am right now. I used to watch him in the Lake Highlands gym about 2 blocks away from where I am, and he was awesome. And he and Trey Johnson would have those. Kevin, did OKC, did anybody else play for them in that game? Wasn't that amazing? They didn't have Jalen Williams, the good Jalen Williams, in that game. So you had Wallace, and SGA played his tail off. And whether he was falling down or not, he was making really difficult shots. Chet was awful. I think Chet was about 1 for 2 in that game. Got dunked on. That give and go that San Antonio did. We won't make this about OKC. We'll get back to San Antonio. But, Kev, this is a guy, Chet was a third-team All-NBA player. Chet was like a borderline, at one point, like a Defensive Player of the Year type candidate. Did he win it last year or something, Kevin? I mean, he was right up there. He was like, he's considered one of the top defenders around. I mean, not only could he not create his own shot, he didn't take shots. He turned the ball over. Wemby made him look so bad. And since Chet, back at like one of those under 18 USA games years ago or whatever it was, I think it was maybe under 18, where Wemby was really sad. And he's been punishing Chet ever since. And on that give and go, he reached up there, Wemby did, and he just dunked on Chet's head. Kevin, I don't know if we've ever gone from, like, literally, think how quickly this has happened. Like, to start the season, Wemby looked great. And we thought, oh, my gosh, this guy is unbelievable. And then, he would have his moments and up and down a little bit. And then in this postseason, and then especially in the Western Conference Finals, it's like he's just the best. He's the best. He's like the best in the NBA. It's like we were able to see the guy who won the MVP, which was SGA, up against Wemby. And he's everything. And already at age 22, like, most people don't drag somebody to the finals at this age. LeBron did it with Cleveland in his age 22 season. Shaq did it with the Orlando Magic. I might be able to find you one more, maybe Magic, maybe not. Even Michael didn't do it. This is insane. This is a guy who went from kind of like an oddity, like, we think he may be great, but we're not really sure what he is yet. Okay, he's really tall, and he's really talented, and he really does some good things too. Like, I think he surprises himself in these games. Like he's initiating offense, he's hitting threes, he's the best rim runner in the game, and then almost overnight, he became the best defensive player in the game. Now he was already kind of headed there. He's just and Kevin, can I just apologize? I will just say it. I still subscribe to the old theory when it came to the Spurs of you've got to get there a couple of times and you got to get beat and you got to suffer a tough loss, like what happened and you know what happened when KD kept suffering those tough losses with the OKC? He said, "Let me out of here. I'm tired of shouldering this." And by the way, he had Russell, and for a little while he had Harden with him. Like he had help, and he still said, "Let me get out of here and go team up with Steph and them and get these easy championships because this is hard. This is too hard." Wemby's doing this at age 22, in his third year.
Let's not forget that he had 5 fouls with about 8 minutes left in the game. Had to sit down for a little bit, and then this happened, where Cornette ran the floor and came up with a huge block on Hartenstein that really, I think, was the catalyst to kind of changing the complexion of the game and making it too much to overcome for OKC.
This would have gotten it to 4, maybe. I think it was a 6-point game. They came back down and hit a 3. I cannot believe, by the way, Keldon Johnson was hitting those huge shots. I'll tell you who else hit a huge shot right after that was Dylan Harper. Whoa. Yep. Ron Harper's kid came down and hit a monster 3. Now, Champagnie
was great throughout the game.
And he hit big shots throughout, and then whoever the Sixers, oh, what an embarrassment! They traded him. They just released him. They just cut him, and he thought his career was probably over. And he's a starter on a freaking team about to play for the championship, about to play in the finals. I mean, I want to pick, and I don't have to pick them yet. I want to pick the Knicks based on experience, but how do I do that? How do I do that after watching what we just watched? They had to overcome a much tougher team than what the Knicks overcame. The Knicks overcame a team that just was like, okay, we're out. Okay, we had this we blew a game, and we're going to check out now. And we don't have anything left. And not even our pride is gone. We got a 35-year-old guard who dribbles his rear off. So anyway, that's for another day. But
my wife kept bringing up the fact that she has never seen a NBA team that loved and cared for each other the way that this Spurs team did. And I think that has to do with the Frenchman. If you get a big guy who is willing to come down, literally down to the level of all these other guys and hug everybody and be together, and when he gets the MVP trophy, he says, you know what? This MVP doesn't mean anything more or less based on the regular, the NBA MVP, because it's all about my team.
Kudos. Tell your wife I said good points. I wish you'd bring some of those points to the table.
Most of them come from her, honestly.
Right. She was an athlete, as I recall. Mm-hmm. But I would say that, the emotion after the game was so genuine, and the tears, I mean, it was a very meaningful. And then, occasionally he'll do something weird with the media, or he didn't speak after that one game. But when he does talk, he's extremely thoughtful. And I thought to myself, after hearing something he said after the game, I was just like, oh my gosh, he's 22 years old. How many languages does he know? I bet he knows French, Spanish. Obviously, he knows English. there's a chance he knows Italian as well. These international people are just brilliant. I wish I had the mind for foreign language, to want to go learn that. Of course, we're so spoiled in America. We're like, why would we have to learn anything else? Well, maybe there's a reason. I can sort of speak Spanish. Not great enough to just kind of embarrass myself. The emotion was real. And Kevin, you've never seen a poor guy get dunked on more. And I think he has something to do with the Red Raiders. This guy, he had a decent amount of like 5,000 or 6,000 followers. Not a lot, but some people. And some kind of Texas Tech guy, I think. I don't know. But he puts it out there that I'm sorry, but this is kind of corny of Wemby. Kevin, I haven't seen anybody get dunked on quite that bad on social media in a long time. It was bad. Millions of people. Because I just think we love the next big thing. We love just kind of seeing, okay, what's next? And by the way, at some point, we'll all tear him down. I'm sure some people were when he didn't talk to the media. I don't think I tore him down. I just said that's not a great look. And Dirk and others, never would do something like that. But he'll learn from that as long as he stays healthy. And that's always the key qualifier in anything. And we have precedent of big men, having some injury issues. Yao Ming was the one who had his brilliant career cut short. Now we have big men who play forever, like Kareem and Olajuwon. I mean, some of these people play for a long, long time, and I hope he does. But it's just kind of fun, Kev, to watch something that we just don't have like any clue that we've never seen before. We've never seen a 7'4", 7'5" man dribble through his legs and take people off the dribble and do the things he does. And by the way, he's not a bad passer. He's not Joker yet. He may never be. I mean, Joker is the greatest passing big man in the history of the NBA, in my opinion. And I think a lot of other people's opinion. Okay, I don't want to act like I'm the first to that. But this guy is just brilliant. And to watch him, now to see what Brown does, what the Knicks do to try to, the Knicks have a guy who can't make free throws, who has a broken finger, as I recall, in Mitchell Robinson. And then they'll throw Karl Anthony Towns at him some, and they'll try to build a wall the best they can. But nobody has the size that you need to. So, I don't know. They'll try to zone them up. I mean, if you zone these guys up, they'll shoot you out of the building. I can't believe how good Dylan is. I can't believe how good that rookie is. He's so great. Castle's great. Vassell's awesome. They're so freaking good. Now, and they defend. I mean, I'm not saying I think Brunson will have a great series, because I think he's a great player. I think he's a brilliant player. But overall, SGA did not have. He had a good game in Game 7. Let's give him that. Overall, he did not have a brilliant series. Brunson will have to be better than SGA. The good thing for the Knicks is Brunson has more help with Hart and Bridges. He's just got more people to turn to and get going, okay, than SGA. SGA looked around and was like, hey, is anybody here to help me? And Chet said, sorry, buddy, I can't help you. Okay. I know people made a big deal out of me, but I'm I'm just going to go ahead and I got major shrinkage. Okay. I got the swimming pool and I got some Costanza shrinkage. All right. And I just can't, I'm not going to be able to help in this series. That was rough. All right, Kev, we're going to go to the courtroom. He's driven home from a Lubbock courtroom where Brendan Sorsby, NCAA, squaring off with Brendan Sorsby's defense team. Let's go inside there and hear some of the firsthand account from Garrett Ramirez from On3 Sports. That is next.
It's the premier charity event of the year, the 2026 Central Texas Cattle Barons Ball, presented by Ascension Providence. A fun evening filled with great food and drink, dancing, a spectacular auction, and more. This year's theme is Nashville Nights, Neon Lights, and Bullfights. Get your tickets now, donate, or be a sponsor. Help support the American Cancer Society to find a cure. The 2026 Central Texas Cattle Barons Ball, October 24th at MCC Highlander Ranch. For more information, go to centraltexascattlebaronsball.org.
Do you suffer from low sports enthusiasm? Have you just not been able to get into the game? Maybe your balls are just feeling deflated. Well, get back to your old self and enjoy the game again. The friendly bartenders at Dancing Bear want you to know that you're not alone, and they can help. With dozens of craft beers rotating every week, pints of beer at Dancing Bear Pub have proven to reduce symptoms of low sports enthusiasm. Side effects include good times, good vibes, and new friends. Do not visit Dancing Bear Pub without consulting 4 or 5 of your closest buddies.
Bumblebee Blinds of Waco and Temple is your one-stop shop for custom window treatment, transforming your vision into reality. Choose from a selection of shades, blinds, shutters, and curtains. Bumblebee Blinds stands behind our service and products, ensuring peace of mind with our trusted warranty. Call Bumblebee Blinds today to schedule your design consultation. Bumblebee Blinds, simplifying window treatments one covering at a time. BumblebeeBlinds.com.
David Willey here. I got a question for you. How do you know what kind of deal you're getting on your copier? If you really want to know, give me a call and I'll be glad to talk to you about it. CTWP, your only local copier company.
At Schmaltz Sandwich Shop, we don't just make sandwiches, we build them with fresh ingredients, bold flavors, and homemade baked bread every single day. Toasty on the outside, goodness on the inside. Schmaltz Sandwich Shop in Waco is locally owned and operated since 1975 with 2 locations in Waco, Town West off Valley Mills and downtown off 5th Street. Whether it's lunch, dinner, or just a craving, we got the perfect bite waiting for you. It's the 2026 Heart of Texas Builders Association Parade of Homes, brought to you by the First National Bank of Central Texas. Tour a variety of homes at different price points, plus see the latest trends from beautiful kitchens to outdoor living spaces. See the latest colors and design patterns. This is your chance to walk through homes, meet the builders, and get inspiration for your own projects. The Heart of Texas Builders Association Parade of Homes, June 5th, 6th, and 7th, and June 13th and 14th. Tickets are available online or at any parade home. For more information, go to wacohomeparade.com.
It is Matt Mosley, the Matt Mosley Show. And Garrett Ramirez joining us now. He's made the way back home from Lubbock, where he was in a courtroom earlier today. Looks good. He was in a courtroom, had a sport coat on and everything. And Garrett with Red Raider Sports and On3 Sports. Garrett, welcome to the show. Appreciate you doing this. And it was you got to do some, a lot of that times you're covering recruiting and all of that. Some days you get to go to court. And I'm just curious, Garrett, what was the scene like? And did any Red Raider fans make it in there? Did you see any black and red show up in the courtroom?
Yeah, like you said, normally spending most of the days either covering the team or covering recruiting. So definitely a little bit of a different experience for sure. No real, real show of scarlet and black in the courtroom. It was all very low key, very professional, a lot of navy, a lot of gray going on in there. So everybody's trying to keep it professional, of course. But yeah, it was definitely an interesting scene. Definitely not something that I'm used to. So it was good to get in there and kind of get my feet wet a little bit as far as the legal stuff goes.
Yeah, and you were getting to watch the closing statements, the opening statements. Now, Kessler went a little long, didn't he? Was that on his opening statement? I think he said, "Hey, I'm getting ready to finish," and I'm sure everybody was like, "Okay, please do." 48 minutes on his opening statement, and I want to see what you think of his approach. I did go to law school. I didn't quite finish up, Garrett. I would say Kessler was more, it was the kitchen sink. It's like, we're going to throw as much as we can out here, sort of see what sticks, and then really hope the mental health aspect of this sticks the most. What would you say? What really stood out the most of it? Kessler, for people that don't know, he's been involved with the NFL on the, I guess, the players union side. He's represented actually both sides, I think, at some point, but he's a big time attorney. But what did you take away from, what did you think Kessler's point was that resonated the most, maybe with the judge? Were there any moments when you thought, okay, that right there maybe could do it? Because I still don't think that he has a good chance, but I'm just kind of curious what he seemed to hit the most on.
Yeah, I think you described it pretty perfectly right there. I think you're right. He threw the kitchen sink at him. The opening statement went on, I think, a lot longer than a lot of us anticipated. I mean, not that really we had an inkling of kind of what it would look like, but you're right. They're going into this really hoping that mental health aspect of it sticks. And I think it's kind of a, there's the point that they're arguing and then the point that the NCAA is arguing. I think they kind of countered each other pretty well there. Kessler and his team arguing that, hey, Brennan Sorsby needs football. He needs college football. He needs a structure to keep him from falling into this again, or to keep him from struggling with the sports betting. And then the NCAA argued, Taylor Askew went right back at him and said, why would we let Brendan Sorsby go back to college football if that's what triggered this deal in the first place? So that's the counterpoint. There's both sides of that story that I think were both argued. I think one thing that has resonated with a lot of people, and I think one thing that we're trying to do a little bit more research on ourselves with our site is Kessler waited until his closing statement to bring up the scandal involving the former Indiana volleyball coach, Brett Agnew, and the bets that he placed, the number of bets he placed. I forgot exactly what number it was, but I know that the bets totaled, I think, more than $320,000. And Kessler waited till the end of his closing statement to bring that up because Agnew, I believe, got a show cause penalty. He also would receive, I think, like 30%, like a 30% suspension if he coached NCAA volleyball again. And so he was essentially saying, like, hey, here's another situation, NCAA, that you've been in as far as sports betting goes with a coach. And he got a 30% suspension after doing some gambling education. So that's, I think that part, as far as, what happened there in the closing statement with that, I think that's something that we're kind of holding on to a little bit, that we'll dig into a little more for sure.
Was there any surprise that Sorsby did not appear? I mean, in some ways, if you're arguing mental health and he doesn't really have to be there, maybe you're saying, let's keep taking care of this guy. But on another hand, most people, if there's a big hearing on their future, would need to be in attendance. Was it addressed at all? Like the judge, did it seem to bother anybody, or was there any surprise expressed even among the media that Sorsby was not there at this hearing?
I think that was one thing that I was looking for, before I showed up, probably about 45 minutes before the hearing started. And we, several of us were kind of huddled outside the courtroom waiting to see, okay, here's everybody filing in, and well, where's Brendan Sorsby? And then as it got closer and closer, you just kind of realized like, okay, he's not going to be here. I think at Big 12 meetings last week, I think Joey McGuire mentioned that he hadn't come back with the team yet. Cause I mean, he just barely, I don't know, I guess a week and a half, maybe 10, 12 days ago, got out of the recovery center there in Arizona. So I don't think he's even returned with the team yet. I think he's with his family. His mom posted something to Instagram this morning, just kind of asking her followers to say a prayer for Brennan and the team kind of as they went through this whole deal. But I wasn't necessarily surprised that he wasn't there. I think just given kind of McGuire's comments last week that he wasn't with the team yet, I don't even think he's back in Lubbock. It made sense that he wasn't there. And they did bring that up there in the beginning as it got going. I think Kessler and the rest of them said, you know, hey, we're going to make these declarations without him present. You know, I think they said something to the effect of they felt that they could make those arguments for him without him being there. So it was something that I was paying attention to as we were, you know, getting close to the 9 a.m. start time. But once it started, I think you just kind of blew it over and it went on from there.
The NCAA seemed to suggest they used the word manufactured. That was interesting because I think Kessler there was like, this is an issue. I think the NCAA seemed to be suggesting that this mental health, going to rehab and all is sort of with the thought of this is going to be a path, that the best path to get him to play, which there's probably some truth to that. But they, I guess, had stipulated to the fact that, yes, we understand that he has a gambling addiction and we are sensitive to that. That's a hard one to do. It's hard to say you're only doing this stuff to come back, but yes, we admit and are somewhat sensitive to what he has. That's a hard, you can't really say those two things at the same time, although it seemed like the NCAA sort of tried. And by the way, what was Askew? I'm always interested in like what these attorneys are like. Like Kessler is a bulldog, tough. He's been in a million of these things. So I'm more familiar with him than these NCAA attorneys. Was Askew just very even kill? Was he quick-witted? Like how would you describe sort of Askew's approach in this hearing? Because he obviously was the one doing the most talking for the NCAA.
Yeah, no doubt. I think quick-witted is probably a good way to describe it. Very early on, he just established, he said, hey, you know, we get it. Brendan Sorsby has a problem. I think he even said that they were happy or something to that effect, that they were happy he was getting treatment and that he sought treatment and that he was taking some steps to get help. But then he quickly finished that statement saying, but the rules are what the rules are. And I think later on, he even said something to, you know, you don't get a get out of jail free card because you're good at throwing a football. You know, I think he was very, very direct as far as trying to, you know, keep that line of, hey, you know, they believe he broke the rules. I mean, everybody knows he broke the rules, and they're trying to hold him accountable by, you know, their own standard. And I think he articulated that pretty well.
And they need to know, don't they, for the supplemental draft deadline, I believe is what, June 22nd or something like that. They need to know. I mean, obviously Tech is getting ready. They have to be getting ready to play without him. I would think Tech probably thinks they have about a 10% chance of getting this injunction or winning this, or maybe not even that much, 5%. As you dig in and talk to your sources and then hear from Joey, I got so caught up in all that Joey Sark stuff. The thing I did not pay attention to was what Joey said to update the Will Hammond situation. Is it still believed that, you know, some point before the season he'll be ready to go? Because it almost seemed like they changed his timetable once this Sorsby thing came down. It was like, well, he won't be ready until after a few weeks of the season. And then it was like, no, he'll be ready for the start of the season. What are you hearing on that front? And remind us, Garrett, exactly what his injury and recovery, what he's coming back from.
Yeah, and just to kind of circle back a little bit, I think in the courtroom today, I think Chrysler said they want a ruling by the 15th in order to really kind of maximize the timetable there. And like you said, that deadline of the 22nd for Sorsby to enter the supplemental draft. On Hammond, I think last that Joey said was August 21st. He should be cleared by then. And it was kind of funny going through that whole back and forth and all the comments that were made as far as the Texas situation and all the shots, both from Sark and from Tech, not just Joey, but also Cody Campbell, that Will Hammond would be cleared August 21st. They don't want to rush him back. I think the timeline ideally would maybe be like week 3 or week 4. But then I think a little tongue-in-cheek comment from Joey was, hey, we're not going to rush him back unless they play Texas week 1. So I think he'll be cleared before the season starts. I don't think they'll rush him back. I don't think that matchup with Texas is even going to happen. So I would expect if this injunction for Sorsby isn't granted, I bet we'd see Kirk Francis, the Tulsa transfer, for at least the first couple weeks of the season. And then you could maybe potentially be looking at that week 3 for Will Hammond to come back when they play Houston on that Friday night.
Sark really gave Tech like a great opportunity. And in some sense, he just kind of handed them just like red meat, right? It's just like, because they got to, they can act like they're being serious and maybe they are to some extent, but it's just a lot of fun. The Tech people got involved. Like you said, Cody Campbell, and he goes on Pat McAfee's show and says what he says. And to your point, this will never happen. But Sark these are sort of unforced errors. And my thought was, it just seems weird to sort of punch down. I mean, Tech's become a monster in some ways, but still, mighty University of Texas, the flagship school. It's weird that Sark felt the need. It's almost like he wants to make up for why they didn't make it to the playoff. Oh, hey, we got to play a way harder schedule than a team like Tech. So in some respects, I agree with the people who said it's like kind of nice that Tech's even on his mind. Like, that's not a bad thing for Texas Tech at all. But for him, it's just kind of silly to keep handing out these easy. He was mouthing off about something else before that. I'm trying to remember what his other point was before that. But I mean, all he did, Garrett, was just kind of fire up the Tech folks, and it doesn't take too much to get the Red Raiders going, does it?
Yeah, and then the thing about that deal too is he's essentially kind of giving Tech the last word there, because no response other than, okay, let's actually do it. Let's run it, spot the ball, let's play the game. I don't think any response other than that would kind of even it out, or I guess that'd probably be the right way to put it there. And you're right. I mean, how long ago, it wasn't that long ago that something like this, you could never even think that Steve Sarkisian or anybody with Texas would have Tech at the forefront of their mind. But I think, and you mentioned that the Cody Campbell going on to the Pat McAfee show. I think Pat McAfee talked about Tech for a good hour on that show, and not just Tech football, but Tech softball, and just the amount of publicity I think Texas Tech has had. I guess over the last month or so. It's just not even pertaining to what actually happened on the field, just with all the stuff about Brendan Sorsby and the softball deal, and now this stuff with Sark, and it's certainly kept us busy for sure as far as things to keep up with.
Yeah, you need to get wherever. I mean, you need to now drive up to Oklahoma City. This is wasn't that interesting to watch ESPN look at a softball handshake line and do an investigation on what the player said, and her dad's getting involved in DMs and all this kind of stuff. And yeah, I mean, on one hand, I saw people sort of saying how negative that is, like that the drama is like big, bigger than the games. And my thought is that's okay. Like maybe the drama of all that happened will make people watch either Tennessee or watch Tech's next game. I don't think that's all bad for the sport. I think there's this thought, especially with women's game, like people are acting like this Caitlin Clark. Oh my gosh, she and her coach are mad at each other and screaming. Like that's the first time that's ever happened in professional basketball. Like these aren't necessarily bad things, to happen. But it is funny, to your point, for Tech to be in the middle of it all. I just hope Tech gets caught up in something and they overlook the Baylor Bears in November a road trip to Waco. Well, a place that Joey also cares a lot about because that's
Absolutely.
where he cut his teeth. And unfortunately, those two programs seem to be going in different directions. But anyway, it'll be issue. By the way, last thing I had for you. Grant McCaslin's a great friend of mine. We went to Baylor together, but I just was wondering from a coverage standpoint, did Tech did they just not live up to what we kind of thought they would do in the portal? Because they've really been good in the portal, and obviously they had the player get hurt. That was he was one of the great portal additions of the past 3 seasons in college basketball. Toppin is who I'm talking about. Did Tech do kind of okay under the radar? Because it just seemed like they didn't do anything that grabbed anybody's attention basketball wise. How did you take that?
Yeah, I think there's been fair criticism. I think some have alluded to, maybe the staff went in with an idea of kind of how it was going to look like. And then maybe the market just kind of went a different way than maybe what they anticipated. That's speculation, but you're hearing the reporting going on of how much a big man costs these days. And you've got just these very, I guess the right word to put it would be very average big men going for millions of dollars. And to make that kind of commitment against your budget for maybe a big who's not going to move the needle that much, it just didn't seem to me like the staff was willing to do that. I think they hit as far as their guard transfers, which is what they've had so far is 3 guards. Cruz Davis, I think, is a great player from Hofstra. He's experienced. He can really get to the basket, is really good with the ball in his hands. I think Dre Gibbs-Lawhorn from UNLV can really score it and just finds different ways to score. And then Damarian Dennis, I think, will be a fairly decent piece that they can use off the bench. I think they're still looking at potentially a couple more signings. I think there's a big man playing in France right now that they're pretty heavily on the radar, and I think they may be down to the only school that's really in it for him. So I think maybe once his season's done, that might be something that they might be potentially adding, I guess, here potentially in the near future. So it's hard to analyze kind of what they did in the portal because I think a lot of people were underwhelmed. It's been very slow. And what's actually really funny that you bring up Toppin is what's today, June 1st. So it was, I believe, a couple of years ago to the day, I guess maybe 2 or 3 days ago, that he committed to Tech. So think about it, end of May. That's relatively late in the cycle for them to have gotten a pretty big addition like that. I don't know if they'll go out there and make an addition like that now, but it just goes to show, everybody's kind of on their own timelines. You're never too certain, I guess, what it's going to look like when it comes to adding players out of the portal. But I think you'll probably see them explore the overseas route if they're going to keep making some roster additions.
I would just bring in Wimby's. He's got a younger brother that's like 6'7", and I I don't even care if he can dribble. I would just go ahead and bring him in. Jared, I'm just going to give this to you. I just saw the cheapest ticket right now for that Baylor Tech game that nobody's talking about except you, the two of us.
Right.
November 21st, Saturday. We don't know a time yet. The
Mm-hmm.
cheapest ticket, the get-in price, SeatGeek, $121.
Oh,
Now let's look for these are for 2 tickets.
okay.
If you want the Bears premium package, all right, this is for you and your high rolling buddies.
All right.
That's $1,200. All right, and then section 105 to be down there pretty close to the action, $922 for 2 tickets. All right. So, if the Tech people want to get in, they're going to have to pay.
No doubt.
All right? We're going to try to put that going band from Raiderland up really high, get them away from the field so they don't annoy everybody. And we're not letting that horse, Midnight, what's that horse's name?
It might be a different one now. I know the last one was, I believe, Centennial Champion, but I don't know what there might be a new one.
But it's always like some form of champion. Is that right? Yeah.
This one was Centennial Champion. I think the last one was Fearless Champion.
Okay.
I don't know if Centennial has quite lived up to the billing of the last one, but that is a phenomenal tradition, of course.
You act like it lost like a Triple Crown race or something.
Hey, I'll tell you what, I was there the last time Tech played in Waco, and you're right. They put that band way up there in the corner. Couldn't even hear them.
We'd like to get them. Yeah, we'd like to be actually in the old stadium. Put them in a different stadium, just not. But that dun 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 dun. And I'll tell you what, those saddle tramps, we're gonna not let them in. I think we've banned those things. I don't want those saddle tramps to show up. And we're gonna really try to keep some of the Red Raiders out of the stadium. Although last year, if they'd have played there, they would have had plenty of seats available. It was a lot like that scene in Stillwater, which was only fun because the shirtless kids went up there, and like turned it into some kind of fun deal. But anyway, Tech will show up, and whoever's playing quarterback, it'll be fun. Garrett, thank you. Good coverage today. At some point I was like, oh man, this is the guy to follow from the courtroom. And so I was trying to let folks know, hey, so good job today. Really appreciate it. And if you have any sort of legal questions about this, holler at me. Okay. I did almost make it through law school.
All right. Hey, I appreciate it. Thank you for bringing me on. And yeah, I'm happy I was able to keep everybody updated. So I appreciate that.
You did a very nice job. There he goes. Jarrett Ramirez, who's a Red Raider Sports. That's part of also he's hooked into On3 Sports. And obviously a young guy, but he really does a nice job. So Chris Level's kind of my longtime buddy there in Techland, and we'll still use Chris, but I'm going to have to get Jarrett in the rotation because really enjoyed visiting with him. Kev, it is time for the landing. We got to say goodbye. And when we do so, we love to talk about the Brazos Landing, one of the great restaurants in all of Central Texas. Let's see what Kevin sent me. Oh, Kevin sent me we were going to mention, Kevin, those Giants receivers. Odell Beckham Jr. is back with the Giants, man. After all these years, he's like 33 years old. He went off and won a Super Bowl elsewhere. He was with the Rams, and now he's back with the Giants. All these years later, when he was about 23 or 24, he made one of the greatest catches in NFL history, and I was there to see it. One of the most amazing things we've ever seen. That happened about a decade ago, and so that was wild. Now, what is this, Kevin? Kevin has this as breaking news that the Browns general manager Andrew Berry says Myles Garrett has not been traded to the Rams just yet, and that talks are still ongoing with the team. He said nothing is final at this point. We're in discussions of a potential trade. Uh-oh. Surely these guys would not come out with trade this strong without it being official. I mean, let's look at what they're saying on sources. Say Garrett traded to Rams in Blockbuster, so they're not backing off this thing at all. So I think we're okay. Hey, in other NFL news, Russell Wilson ended up he's going to be on the CBS NFL show. You know, they're with Nate Burleson and James Brown and Bill Cowher. And so there you go. That'll be fun. And I mean, if you like Russell Wilson, I don't know if he'll do a good job or not. I'm sure he'll be fine. He's a articulate guy. He's kind of annoying sometimes, but that's okay. Who else did the Giants signed OBJ, Smith-Schuster, J.J. Smith-Schuster. Wow. All right. I mean, he certainly had his moments in his career. And then the Giants worked out OBJ a couple of times just to make sure he was ready to go. And I guess they decided he can. And so they'll go to camp with the Giants. And then Brazos. Kev, help me out here on Brazos. What do we know about this young man? Oh, Braxton Brazos, 1-year deal. The Smith-Schuster thing is a 1-year deal. Now Beckham logged 9 catches for 55 yards when he was with the Dolphins. He's played in just 9 games over the past 2 years. He was suspended for 6 games in 2025 for violating the league's policy on performance-enhancing drugs. Kevin, what Brazos? What's his past? What do we know about that youngster? Do we have numbers on Braxton Brazos? Let me look.
Probably most successful with the Dolphins, kind of as a returner and kind of a gadget receiver. Speedy guy, a lot of speed to him, but
he's 30 years old.
Giants are loading up at receiver for their guy because they lost a lot of their other guys because their old coach stole them to the Titans. Brian Dable.
Oh, the offensive coordinator for the Titans now.
Yeah, he took at least one. He took Wan'Dale Robinson. I think he took another one with him.
Okay.
In free agency, so.
Kev, that was kind of interesting. You kind of almost sound like you had a generator going there. Always good. Kevin, good work today. Strong work. We had all the right graphics. We had all the right reaction. We've knocked out a couple of hours. Myles, there he is. Myles Garrett. He is now a member of the Rams. Jared Verse comes back to Cleveland, and they'll also get a first-round pick, 2027, second-round pick, 2028, and in 29, a third-round pick. All of this for Myles Garrett. I sort of like this trade for the Browns. I don't have a problem with this. Jeez, I'm kind of digging this trade for the Browns. Now I don't know what's going on. The Browns GM's like, hold on, this thing's not completely finalized. We saw a deal get undone during free agency because the Ravens pulled out of a deal. And so we know how that looks. We know how a deal looks like when it's undone, but we think this is actually going to come to fruition. Boy, it's been a strong day. Strong Monday. That was kind of cool that we went inside the courtroom there. The young man covers Texas Tech, Jarrett Ramirez, joining us to talk about what took place in that courtroom in Lubbock, Texas, as Brendan Sorsby, the Lubbock, the Red Raiders trying to get, and his defense attorney, Jeffrey Kessler, trying to get a injunction for him to play for Texas Tech. I think they got about a 5% chance of that thing working. And that may be too generous. All right. I thought the NCAA, for the most part, made the right points. And Askew went in there, did a pretty good job in the courtroom today. I love that. I mean, I like young reporters getting to be in there and to see what it's like to cover something from the courtroom. And we had some really good reporting from Garrett Ramirez. Okay. The big dogs didn't make it to Lubbock. I thought the big dogs might come rolling in there to be in that courtroom. And again, not that Jarrett's not a big dog, but I'm talking about the national people like Dellinger from Yahoo and Pete Thamel from ESPN. All right. All right. Kev, where was Gambling Anonymous when I was, about 25 years old and thought I knew something about gambling? I'm kidding. I didn't really have a problem, but I dabbled a bit. And then I had the good sense to get out of the game, because even though I was a sports writer, it does not honestly give you that much. Now, when I weigh in on lines and that kind of thing, I do think sometimes I study it enough to maybe know more than your neighbor knows, but not to know more than what Vegas knows. Do I think I can beat Vegas? I do not. And that is why. Just as soon as I kind of put my gambling hat on, I took it right back off and said, no, I'm not going to do that. I didn't get to the Sorsby level. All right. It's the Mosley Show. Thank you. Thanks, Kevin. Excellent work. Thank you. Thank you, Brazos Landing. Thank you, Cherry Johnson, Siegmund James. Thank you, Schmaltzes. Thank you for what you do. Big announcements are coming soon. Everybody have a great one, and we will see you tomorrow at 1:00.
When Central National Bank decided to partner with Baylor women's basketball, we were hoping Coach Collin would bring that championship mindset to do whatever she has to do to take our workplace culture to the next level.
Well, these donuts are pretty good.
Guys, how we doing?
We're good, Coach.
Craig! What are you doing?
What do you mean?
You have to dunk it.
So far, I think our employees are really enjoying it.
Not everything's a basketball thing.
Did you say something, Craig?
No, ma'am.
That's what I thought.
Dude, I think she likes you.
Central National Bank, proud partner of Baylor Athletics and Baylor Women's Basketball.